All right, so for this video, I want you to add in a different kind of item. So instead of having an item that gives points, instead I want you to have an item that takes away health, a trap of some sort. To do this, you're going to want to do a few different things. One, you're going to want to make another child of BP item, and you'll customize it so that way it has, like pickup item did, a different model. Just pick anything for right now. You're going to add a variable for health, and then set it up so that way your WB Score UI, you're going to add in another text box here, set it as a variable, just like you did with this one. Give it a name for like health text or something like that. Then you'll go to your WB Score UI. You're going to make another event. Instead of update score text, you'll have update health text. Your BP HUD, you're going to make a new function called Health HUD update. Then your PlayerController, you're going to make a new function for, instead of update the score, you'll have update health. Notice you're not making new blueprints for these things. You're just using what's already here and just adding to it. And then you'll modify your BP player ball to have a new function for lose health. And then finally trigger your new blueprint to trigger that new function. And you should start out with like maybe 3 health. So your BP player ball, your PlayerController rather, your health, maybe you set your default value to 3 and just take away 1 each time, something like that. And then we'll worry about like getting a screen for how to do that afterwards. I'll show you kind of an end result, what I'm looking for, but I do want you to try to do this challenge yourself. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and walk you through really quickly how to add the health text. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to go to my WB Score UI. I'm going to add in a new text box, and I'm going to call this current health widget. And I'm going to set the anchors to be the top right. Also the position X to be -35 and position Y to be 35. So that way it's just further down. Also the default text to be health. And then I'm going to select this. I'm going to set this as a variable. Then I'll compile and save. I'll switch to the graph view now instead of BP Score UI. And I'm going to create a new custom event. Add custom event. I'm going to call this one update health text. And I'm honestly just going to copy and paste all this. Copy and paste. And just reconnect when I need to reconnect. So item selected widget, I don't need that. Instead, I need the current health widget. Then for my custom event, I need to add in input for, I'll call it a current health. I'm going to pass this in here. And I will have this say health :space. And finally connect the execution pins. So that's connected there. So, we'll save, compile. Let's move on to the next step. So we have the ability to update our text. Cool. We need to be able to call it. So our BP HUD, go to our event graph. We see that we actually already have the binding for our widget, the WB Score UI, which has both health and items collected. So we don't need to rebind it. We do have a function for Score HUD update. We will need to make a new function called Health HUD update. And this is going to be really similar to our Score HUD update. So we'll just basically kind of copy this. So we'll need to add in some input. This will be current health. And then we're going to say WB Score UI. We'll get that. We'll call health. So update health text. Connect that there, and then pass in the health. So that's that. Compile and save. Let's go to our BP player controller, our event graph here. We have our values for our variable score and then health. Let's set this health to 3 or something. And then we have this update score function. We need to actually create a new function called update health. And we're going to be doing a lot of the same stuff. So I'm going to copy and paste all this. Copy, paste. What do we need to change? Well, we need to change Score HUD update, delete that. Instead, we want, and fun fact, because when I did that, the line, because I used these nodes like this, is there. You can just branch off from this. It's the same thing, and we'll do health. So HUD health update. We can connect the execution pins so we'll go straight through. Now we need to change the math that we're doing. Update score has points to add, while update health, we need to have an input for this for health to lose. So I have so one actually let me call this health to lose because I had health to lose earlier in an earlier version of the video and it doesn't want it right now. So I'm just gonna call this health. And then the actual math where we set our score and add to it, we don't want that. We want to delete that. We delete this too. Instead, we want to get our current health. We want to subtract some value from our health. Call this health. So lose health. Yeah, I'll name it lose health. That way we can differ between the two. So we want to take our current health, we want to subtract from health. So health minus the health to lose. Just remap this so it's easier to see where it goes. And then we want to set health to be that value. And we connect the execution pins there. And there we go. Compile and save. So now we have a function for add points in VP player ball. We need a function for lose health. And again, it's going to be formatted pretty much the same way. We're going to need to cast BP player controller. So we'll copy those, paste those here. I need to add in an input here for lose health. And then I need to actually call that function in the player control, BP player controller. So I'll drag from here and I'll do health, update health. And then I'm going to pass in that value. Then just clean this up. All right, compile and save. And then we'll go to our event graph where we had the cast player controller so we could call the health, the score text. Instead, I'm going to call my lose health function. So delete this and I'll call lose health. And we want to lose 1 health. The player controller has a value of health at 3 by default. So we just want to lose health and it should show 2. Oh, it shows health 0. So not quite. Well, it's not working because I forgot to actually pass in that health. So I'm going to pass in the current health to current health. So apologies. Compile and save. Now if we test it, it should show 2, health 2. Yay. Our math works. Now we just need to make that child object. So content drawer, I'm going to select my BP item. I'm going to right click this and I'm going to create child blueprint class. I'll call this BP trap item. Open this up. And I'm going to set the static mesh to be, let's do a sphere for right now. And then also the material, I'm just going to pick a different material, customize this later, and I'll just set this to be, I'm just going to pick this wood oak just because. Compile and save. I'm going to drag one of these into my scene, testing purposes. I'll move some stuff around though first, just so I can see it a little bit better. Trap item. Now, just like our pickup item, our trap items will bob up and down, move up and down, and we can customize how that works a little bit later. But let's go ahead and go to our BP trap item, and let's add some things. So our pickup item had a variable for points to add. So let's add in a variable for points to lose. I'll set this to be an integer, and I will set my default value for points to lose. All right, so I gotta make this public. There we go. And I'll set this points, or compile it, then I'll show up. So points to lose to be 1. So I want to lose 1 point when I hit it. Compile and save. And just like with BP pickup item in my event graph, I have this cast a player ball, then add points, destroy actor. I'm going to want to do pretty much the same thing, except instead of add points, I'm going to lose health. So in trap item, event graph, I'll drag from other actor and I'll cast to BP player ball. And as BP player ball, I'm going to want to call lose health. And then I will do destroy actor. Then I'm going to get my points to lose variable, drag this here, we'll get that, and we'll attach this here. That way we lose that variable's amount of health when we hit it. So compile and save. I'm going to go to my BP player ball, event graph, and up here where we call that test lose health, delete that. I don't want to do that. Instead, I want to start out with 3 health, and then when I run into that bomb, I want to lose health. By default, it shows health and doesn't show a value, so we'll fix that. When I hit it, it shows health of 2, so it goes down. We need to set our default health first. Now I need to actually have the value show up when I press play, so I'll go to my BP player ball, I'm going to go to my event graph, and after I have my add mapping context, I add the lose health function. I'm going to call that and drag it over. And I'm going to have the lose health be 0. This way it will automatically update the health with our value. So health of 3, I hit the bomb, health of 2. Okay, there we go. So we can now lose health. You set up multiple bombs, or trap items, however you want to call it. You can lose health when you hit them. Now, there's no penalty for that. If you get to 0 health, you don't lose the game yet. But we'll get there. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks.